Hey Meredith, how are you, dear?
Good. How are you, Barry?
Good, thanks. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Hanging at my
Thanks.
parents.
Pardon?
Said I'm hanging out at my parents while the girls sleep.
Oh my God, you've got time to. What are you doing on this? Girls asleep, and you should be like, I got things to do. See ya.
Yes. Well, that's all right.
God bless you.
I have Board of Health at 3, which should be fun. So
Oh, there you go. So from what? Yeah, good luck with that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a challenge and a half again.
Hmm.
So what do you think? Masks?
Yeah. I mean, we know they work. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I'm like, I don't see what the big deal is, but I don't go
it's
anywhere, I guess.
I'm used to it. It's fine. But I agree. There's a point, especially when you get outside. It's just like you just want to rip the damn thing on. That's it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, the glasses I wear have been so fouled up and nasty because they keep getting intertangled with things
Yes.
with the mask. So yeah, I just went back to Dr. Ruby and they were kind enough to fix it, but it was like, oh, for God's sake, they're mangled. So, but hey, it's the greater good.
Yeah. I just think the sewer report was not good,
No, I get it. I get it.
but we'll
And
see.
frankly, I'm not surprised.
No.
Asia,
I
you're in the shadows there. You look like you're in the witness protection program. Unmute. There, we got audio on you now, I think.
Yes, hopefully.
There we are.
I'm just trying
Beautiful.
to change my name,
Yep, no problem. Thanks.
and then we turn on some lights maybe. So this
Oh, not
just
to
won't work
worry.
again. Where's this now? I can't see the thing because I just whacked it off. That. Not much better.
No, trust me, it is. From my perspective, it's better than what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I can make out your facial features now. There you go. There you go. I can even see a little smiling and laughing there.
Okay.
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Got the house
Good.
sold.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I hope.
It was a long process.
Oh, no thanks. Pass.
Yeah, I apologize for not making the last meeting on you.
Oh, gee, you've got a life like the rest of us. My God.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were pretty busy with things, but thank you. I appreciate it. No apology necessary.
Thank you.
Trying to get it so the hold on.
So, do you know what's happening with Act Natural?
No, I don't. I have no idea. I haven't heard a peep further about it.
Okay.
And I'm going to take it you haven't heard anything either.
No, but actually, I really have been for the last 50 days or 40 days, I've been 12-hour days. So I really haven't thought of anything except moving junk out of my basement.
Yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa.
Turn a little more, trying to make it, I
Hey there.
don't know.
There you go. Hi. Jason, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Good. Oh.
There we go.
Let's see what time is it. I'm gonna give it till 5 past and we'll get started, okay? Is that all right? Oh, there she is. Good. Perfect. Hello, Miss Dorothy.
Hi, Barry.
Nice to see you. We're gonna get started in just about a minute here. I'm glad you made it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me read through the script for remotely conducted open meetings, which is a requirement still. Just so we can kind of get started with things. I don't know about Mr. Iverson. I have not heard from him, but anyways, we've got a quorum. Yay. So I'm really thrilled about that. Anyways, so as a preliminary matter, this is Barry Rector, Chair. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Dorothy Hertz.
Here,
David Iverson, as I said, is absent at the moment. Meredith Fleppery.
Here,
Melissa Murphy.
here.
Jacques Samicki.
Here.
Thank you. We have one vacancy, which is going to be filled in January, is my understanding. So that's exciting news. So good afternoon. This open meeting of the Cannabis Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Cannabis Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, as the chair, note otherwise. We're now going to get ready to turn to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, as the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Members of the public wishing to participate in the meeting must use their full name for Zoom access. Full names are not used, people will not be allowed to participate in discussion. The town reserves the right to remove any member of the public from the meeting who does not use a full name or acts inappropriately. There you have it. So all of our meetings are being recorded at this point, therefore, and unfortunately, we haven't really had meetings because we've had some quorum issues. So really don't have too much for you in terms of any draft minutes at this point. Jason, do you have anything from the public before we start here?
No. I'm just
All right,
listening.
thanks. Yep, just chime in if we need to, though. So you have an agenda before you at this point, and just let me ask for a motion to approve that agenda by someone.
Motion to
So
approve.
moved. Oh, second.
All right, so that motion is now made and seconded. Discussion on it? Hearing none, we'll do this by raising your hand. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We have to do roll call, Barry.
Do you want
Sorry.
to do roll call? I'll do it. Yeah,
I'm
no
sorry.
problem.
I'm just-
I know. I'm a little bigger
I'm-
fan of expediting things. I'm so
I
sorry.
know I am too, but
Yeah,
we can
that's
get in
okay.
trouble. I was on a committee where we got scolded for not doing
Oh,
it.
no. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Anytime
On the
I do
remote
some-
participation, we have to do roll call.
No, I get it. And you know what? If I do anything like that, please pay. I don't mind when you do that. It's good.
Okay.
It's good for you to take me aside and say, hey, Mayor. So anyways, all right. So to approve the agenda, Dorothy Hertz,
Aye.
David, sorry, Mr. Iverson's not here. Meredith Lepre,
Aye.
Melissa Murphy,
Aye.
Jacques Samicki,
Aye.
and the chair votes in the affirmative. Okay. All right, so I have election of officers. Do you guys want to wait until we get a full board to do this? It's been hanging out there for a bit. All right. So I'm just gonna say that there's no dissension at this point, and we're gonna table that discussion for now. That moves us on to Act Natural. They were supposed to open on 7/24/21. I did talk to Brian about trying to do a site visit, but as you're well aware, they ran into some problems with the state, and as of this juncture in time, I have not heard anything further about what the status of the facility is. But if I do hear anything, I'll keep you posted. Melissa, I don't know if you hear anything for the Board of Selectmen ears.
I've
No,
not heard anything
okay, that's fine.
up,
'cause
and they've referred me to the cannabis advisory, and I was like, oh, I sit on that, and we still don't know.
Yeah, no, and I haven't heard from Brian at all to see where they're at with things, so, but when I get a chance after the holidays, I'll try to follow through with them. So we're really kind of at a point of looking at our future and focus for the direction of the meetings. If you look at item 8 on the agenda, what I did was I just tried to give an overall sense of what's floating around out there in terms of potential host agreements that tend to occur. Since its inception, and for some of the members on this board, the roster of things that can be done with marijuana facilities has greatly expanded over a period of time, such as craft marijuana cooperatives, social consumption establishments, very much in a pilot program, but alive and well, and delivery operators as well too. So there's all those different things that are floating out there that are permissible now under the Cannabis Control Commission for the state. And I thought it wise just to at least list those off a little bit, just so you have a sense of what's floating out there. So the other thing I did was on the very last page. I just gave you some definitions about how the bylaw looks at it and what that actually constructs to be. Our bylaw right now has got it so that any type of marijuana retailer whatsoever is going to be, to establish one, it's really linked to the number of year-round licenses for alcoholic beverages in the town. And at last blush, I counted, I think it was 9 that were out there that hit that qualification. So really what that does is it limits, at the current juncture, this limits us to have 2 retail type establishments out there. Now, whether they be cultivators or whether they be delivery systems, they still fall under that umbrella. So in order for anything else to move ahead, what it would require would be a change in the current bylaw that we have in place right now to actually wind up increasing that number. Hang on for a second. I'm so sorry. There she is. There you are. So, Melissa, I was saying that what really is the linchpin to the whole thing about having any of these other things like a craft cooperative or social consumption, even something as simple as delivery operators, are still tied into that 20% rule, which means no more than 2 at the moment, and we have 2. So if one of these other types of establishments wants to be conducted, the bylaw that's in place governing it needs to be changed. And that's where I was hoping to begin to stimulate some conversation. Now, there is an opportunity in my last conversation with Andrew Vorse that they've actually put a placeholder article for the Cannabis Advisory Commission there. So this is an opportune time to begin that discussion. We probably need, I don't have a drop dead date yet. I'm gonna go to where it's gonna be February, somewhere in February. So maybe between now and next month, we can have a final discussion on where you'd like to take this. But I don't know, it's worthy of discussion, I thought, and I thought it might be also kind of good to at least start the discussion. So I guess let me start from the top.
Mary, can I just ask a clarifying question? And I'm
I'm
sorry.
happy to, please.
Okay, it's
That was a
Melissa.
lot to
I lost
digest.
so detailing for us those, the businesses with the existing licenses, if the bylaw were to be changed, those two would be allowed to do, say, a delivery operator? Or I guess I'm not 100% clear on, and Mass General Law, what are the dividing lines between what it says a community can do and what our bylaw says we can do?
All right, so as far as I'm aware of in the state, I really don't have a good feel for what other towns did. I think they emulated a few towns did emulate this.
Mhm.
Certainly when the industry was first starting up in Massachusetts, everyone approached it with a high degree of caution.
Mhm.
Feeling like, oh my God, we don't want our town overrun with marijuana establishments. But it's all different. And I don't have a really good feel for what the other towns have been doing, but certainly I have seen other places with more than 2 establishments. Now, mind you, at the time too, it was all retail. It was either medical or retail, I should say. First it was medical and then it moved into retail. But like I said, as time has gone on, the industry has expanded and so has the scope being allowed by the state. So really, as far as my understanding is, once you've kind of conducted what you are as a business, it becomes a whole separate host agreement again to have to do something. Now, the delivery, I'm not as in tune with it. I did look at it a while ago, and I'm sorry to say at the moment I'm fuzzy on it. But right now, it seems to be a very distinct business from the other ones. So you can't necessarily tie all those businesses together under one roof and say it's good. Sorry, I lost you, Melissa.
That's okay. I was just telling someone in my office that I'm in a meeting. They can't tell because it looks like I'm just working.
That's okay. All right. So, all right. Do you have any questions for me? Because where I want to go is to start just getting some very raw information back from you all and just see what your initial thoughts are. Not expecting we resolve this today, but between now and January, when Andrew gets back, I'll have a much better feel for where we're at in terms of timeframes and stuff. So any questions, first of all, from anyone? Just raise your hand. Jacques.
Barry, the placeholder space, are we also going to put in our zoning articles that we worked on last year that never quite made it to town meeting?
So I'm going to have that discussion again, because it may, now looking at it through a different series of filters than where we were, that might be a little premature at the moment.
Okay.
Because like I said, right now, as far as I'm going to say to you, we're locked to facilities. So anything else we begin to discuss is a little bit moot at the moment. We'll revisit it at some point. And I forget who the attorney was I talked to at Copeland and Page. But when they looked back at the way they crafted the article that was before the town, they felt that the scope was a lot more open than where we were heading to with things. Her initial reaction, if I remember, this was over a year plus ago, was that what we were doing was actually limiting where we could do it, as opposed to it being a lot more expansive in its current form right now. Does that help a little bit?
It does.
Okay. So I'd probably respectfully say, before we've got the information, I think we did a lot of good homework on it. But this to me seems to be where the crux of the matter will lie before we can even move ahead with that and see where it goes. And I don't know, my gut reaction to you all, and you can certainly give me any opposition to this, is that the public opinion of marijuana establishments is probably a little bit more socially acceptable than where it was when we first started this process. So again, my gut is saying people are maybe more permissive in nature. But again, that's just my take on the situation. And you can take that for what it's worth. All right. So not hearing any more questions, let me do this. Let me just open the floor to some discussion. We've got to be done with this by 2:30. So let me just kind of put you on a 5-minute timer as well too. Just to, and let me see where you're at there in terms of things. So Dorothy, you want to kick this off?
Barry, I'm going to pass for a minute, please.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll come back to you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Melissa.
Well, I guess, sorry to sound lame, but this is the first Cannabis Advisory Committee meeting I've attended where we're actually talking about something. So I'm a little confused about what you're looking for comment on. Regarding the placeholder article, we obviously have nothing to talk about with that because I haven't seen the draft article, but that wasn't attached in material, so I haven't seen that. So what are you looking for discussion on? How we
All right.
feel about the host agreement?
Basically what I'm looking at right now, okay, there is no article at the moment. There is the potential to have an article in place. In order to expand, in order for any other marijuana establishments, even as something as simple as a delivery operator, would require a change to the bylaw that we currently have in place. Because like I said, the current bylaw, when you read it, and it's on page 3 there, will say that this is kind of what we've, as a town, we've established we can do. Translated, it means 2 facilities which are currently in place. So if we wanted to allow more things to happen, or and again, I had heard out there that other people were like, oh my God, you know, I'd love to open that kind of business. They can't do it at the moment. So here's an opportunity for us to discuss the pros and cons of, do we as an advisory committee want to put forward something to the town to say that bylaw needs to be changed to allow more than just the 2 establishments that are out there?
I see. Thank you
Does that
very
help
much.
frame the
That
discussion?
does. It does very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess my input is that I have not heard from people, but that doesn't mean much. Again, I think Meredith and I are the newest members on this committee. So I have not heard feedback from community members about wanting to expand marijuana businesses on the island. I think that we don't even really know yet the benefit of having 2 being fully operational because of the limited amount of time that Act Natural has actually been in operation within the community. I think they only serviced for a few months before they had to close down again. So I'm also, I have a puppy. I also, I have very mixed feelings about delivery operators. So I would like to take some time and see other communities if they've expanded their bylaws and what they've expanded them to and what they've offered and what they've limited. The craft marijuana cooperative is something that I am more interested in discussion or seeing. And the delivery or adding a 3rd retailer at this point, I don't have a strong opinion on, but I also don't see a strong case being made that it's necessary in the community. So I guess to summarize my viewpoints, other than sounding completely confused, is that I'd really like to have some more information about how other communities are expanding, if they are, and to what areas they are doing that. And also hear from the community if there is desire for other opportunities to access marijuana. Because again, I've not heard that.
Great. All right, thank you. Yeah, and this isn't meant to put you on the spot. Like I said, today is kind of just raw for its first time to just kind of get some initial thoughts out there. And maybe hopefully by the end of this, it'll give us a sense of where we all want to kind of move to the next step with things. So Meredith, I'm going to put you up there. Thanks, Melissa.
I think that if there is community interest, then I don't think that it's a bad thing, but I also would like there to be some sort of, like, it wouldn't be something like in Seattle when marijuana became legal, it's like it's everywhere. Like everywhere you go, you see a pot shop. And also it made it walking downtown with your family, like, and I don't really want my kids smelling marijuana everywhere they go, or cigarettes. I mean, so I do think like there's a fine line. I don't know how I feel about delivery, like people delivering it to someone's house. Is that what you're talking about?
Mhm.
Which I don't really think is great, because whoever is going to be delivering is going to have to make sure that the people getting it, I think there's a lot of, because you have to be not a teenager. So I would just be concerned about the safety of that. And also I'm just not for that.
Okay.
So I think there's probably a way to have more opportunities for retail, but I think we also want to do it in a smart way so that the island does not become overrun with marijuana shops.
Mhm. Got it. I'm sorry, I'm just jotting down some real quick notes here. All right. Jacques, let me go to you, sir.
Great. A number of elderly people I know, which are my friends, I guess I'm considered elderly now too. Exactly. Have asked me about home delivery, specifically cancer patients who are using marijuana. And the regulations on home delivery are pretty, like everything else in Massachusetts about marijuana, are pretty stringent about how deliveries are done, et cetera. Actually, they were excessively stringent in the Cannabis Control Commission, I believe, in the last year, loosened them up a little bit to make it so you didn't really have to have a Brinks truck and deliver from the Brinks truck to somebody's household. So actually, I am for opening up an article that would allow us to at least explore the options of home delivery. The craft, I'm not sure craft is ever going to be available under the current regulatory structure or the way the state of Massachusetts does craft. I'm not really sure it would ever even make financial sense for anybody in Nantucket to do it. I just don't see that that's going to happen. But I have fielded over the last year and a half, a lot of people ask me about home delivery. And definitely some young people, and as the traffic gets worse in the summer, so to get to my house to Act Natural might take 30 minutes, when it's a 3-minute ride in my car in the winter. And I don't see that. I see that people looking for marijuana maybe would rather do something else with their time than sit in traffic during the summer. So actually, I support at least having the option for people that can, which is more than likely going to be Act Natural, or the Green Lady would opt for add that to their services, home delivery at this point. I don't see that independent third party would be doing it, but maybe they will. I have no idea. But I think it's a good idea to at least consider expanding the article.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Dorothy, hi.
I actually would like to see more data on our second facility before we are even discussing any further, making any article changes for more facilities on the island. We don't have any real data of what it's like to have 2 working facilities right now here. And I think that's important before you make decisions, is to have proper data in front of us. I personally don't like the idea of delivery service for all the obstacles that it can put forward for us. And a lot of it being reiterating what Meredith has said about who is at home, who's actually getting the product. And on the craft, I know that there's people that want to do it, but what is there a sense in doing it here? Is it can it be a viable industry? And what will they be able to function under all the regulations that are out there? So I would like to have further discussion on this, on an article like this, but it cannot be done without more data.
Dorothy, when you say, I'm sorry, if may I,
One,
are you all set?
yeah, I was just going to answer on the thing about Act Natural. They're still, from what I understand, they're still closed because they haven't had enough acceptable tests consecutively. And until they do, they will not be opening. That's what I understand right now. And I think you can find just currently on the state website, it just says it's temporary. It's still temporary closed.
Mhm.
But that's what I understand is what they're waiting on.
And Dorothy, you did say you're not in favor of delivery, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that correct. I'm just jotting notes here and just trying to catch back up to myself. Thank you, appreciate it. So, my own personal. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Melissa, please.
Thanks, Barry. I just thought maybe because I tend to agree with Dorothy, but I just want to maybe be on the same page, what kind of data we're looking for about having a second facility. And Dorothy, through you, Barry, if we could get
Yes.
a little bit more detail on what kind of data Dorothy thinks would be helpful, I'd be really curious to hear that.
Yep. That was just one of the notes I made on here because they were about listening to all of you and kind of surmising things. There's probably about 3 key points that are going to emerge out of this conversation. But yeah, I had the same question as well. So Dorothy, we're going to go back to you for a minute because I'm not sure exactly what kind of data you're looking for. Just saying that is kind of vague and diffuse at the moment. So if we're going to look for data, we need to kind of have a sense of what is the data we're looking for. And could you help refine that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, you'd want to know how much use they're getting, productivity, how much are they producing, how much of what they're producing is actually being consumed. Do we need another facility? You don't want to have all this extra excess out there if we don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the need? Does the need Mean that we need to have a third facility or a fourth, does the need it?
Anything else?
No, not really.
Okay, now, and I'm gonna still leave that out there because in the court, all of a sudden you may have things that'll be like, oh, damn, I should have said that at the meeting. And they just come flying in after. It's like, okay, yeah, we really do need this and that too. I'd probably say with productivity and consumption that actually could be handled pretty quickly by a phone call or so to Nicole out at Green Lady. She's very open to having that discussion, and that might be the quickest way to get that kind of information. It is reported to the state, but trying to figure out where to filter that information out from, I would not have a really good feel for it at the moment, but I dare say that they'd be willing to cooperate with us and at least ballpark us in on that kind of thing.
But
If you know how much
they wouldn't have what the impact Act Natural would have, because until they can actually run for a year, we wouldn't have any idea. And they basically ran for the summer months and then were shut down. So I think that we really need that information.
So the other thing you had mentioned was just about another facility. And what I'm going to say to you is that in terms of increasing the number of licenses out there, it doesn't necessarily mean it would automatically be another retail facility. So I just want to kind of clear the air on that very, very quickly.
But they have a retail and growth. They can grow and retail. With the licenses they have now, they grow on site and they're retail.
Right. Right. But I think, yeah, okay. Maybe I'm not explaining myself well. Jacques, go ahead. And then I'm going to come back and just give you my 2 cents and maybe a little encapsulation afterwards.
Yeah, I just think that there's maybe some confusion that indeed, if home delivery, and I'm not saying that everybody's going to want to do home delivery, but home delivery can be an independent person that actually meets the requirements and has the license, and they would be picking up from one of the 2 facilities that we have as a subcontractor and then delivering. So it doesn't require them to be growing at all. They're just specifically handling it from point A to point B. I would doubt that there's a marketplace in Nantucket for a 3rd facility. Act Natural has a huge growing space. They should be able to pretty much handle what the island needs. Green Lady does not have the space. And so Green Lady was talking about, at least early on, buying product from Act Natural from their growing facility. There was a straw poll informally done in Nantucket about a year and a half ago. And we came up with a number between 10 and 12 tons of pot was produced in Nantucket, and most of that was consumed during the summer. And that was just official, a very official, unofficial straw poll. And that had nothing to do with Act Natural or Green Lady. That was just some historical data that a bunch of people had. And I have no idea how much, what the tonnage that Green Lady can do or Act Natural. But Act Natural was running full speed this summer. So that would at least give you an idea of what people were buying, how much people were buying from them, because really summer would be the massive consumption of pot, because Nantucketers tend to grow their own pot for personal consumption in the winter. Rather than buying it from the store. Yeah. So I'm open to opening up the idea that we could have other businesses using pot grown by the two stores we have now, a craft co-op would have the ability to sell to stores or to a service that was delivering. But I say I don't really think craft is going to happen in Nantucket. So.
Anyone else at the moment? All right. I'm raising the issue because, like I said, it's been a while since we've met. And as time has been moving along, the scope of what is permissible in Massachusetts for the industry has increased. So initially, I know Jacques was with me and Dorothy was with me when we were first doing this. There was a lot of interest being generated by some people, not a massive amount, but by some people about we'd really like to think about doing that if the opportunity arises, such as having a craft marijuana cooperative, such as doing micro businesses. But again, things weren't really well formulated with the state at that juncture. So I don't know how things have changed out there. When we're meeting in person, it was nice because people would just feel free to show up and talk about things. I know Zoom tends to be a little tough at times. Not everyone wants to jump on board. So I've got to rely kind of on that past history. Personally, I think it's worth expanding the scope of what we can do by changing the article from 20% maybe to 30 or 40%, which would allow one or two other establishments to take place. Now, when I use the word establishment, I'm not talking about strictly retail. I'm not. I don't have that fear that there's going to be 3, 4, 5 retail establishments on Nantucket because I don't know what their survivability would be from a financial perspective. And I'm not sure that would be prudent right now. I would be a little uncomfortable with, but the idea of doing either or having the ability to do either delivery, which I think there's a lot of good things that can come out of that. As Jacques said, there are elderly people. There are some people who just are really uncomfortable about being out in the open, marching up to the doorstep, waiting at the window and being seen. There's, and it's not just elderly people either. We have some infirmed people here as well too, that could be a benefit for. It's kind of the great unknown with this. And then, here we are too. The social consumption establishment, it's a very real thing now. There is a pilot program that is floating out there at the moment through the state. Don't forget, Nantucket has got some incredibly good restaurants and cooks out there. And maybe it's just a passing phase or novelty, but at the moment in some places, there's a real want to have that happen in a community. One thing I would, so that I'm going to leave it at that for my own personal opinion, but one thing, a few things have kind of emerged just real quickly in listening to you all. And the first thing would be is if we decided to do an increase, can we limit the type of establishment that could take place? So in other words, let's say we took a very conservative mode and said, okay, we'll allow one more establishment. That establishment would have to specifically be either like a social consumption. It would have to be a delivery operator only. But in other words, restrict the license down into certain classes. And I don't know if that would be something that we could either incorporate into a bylaw, or whether it's best to open-end it and leave it as a decision that if someone does put an application through the town, for the town to make a decision of, okay, we really don't feel that this is a good place for us to go, but we feel as though this may well work for us. And let that be the place where that filter pops into play. I know some of you may have more questions than answers about things like, how does the delivery system work? How does social consumption work? How do the micro businesses work? I'd encourage you, when you get a chance, go on to the Cannabis Control Commission website. There is a wealth of information out there, and there are bylaws and guidelines about how each one operates. As Jacques alluded to earlier, the idea of doing delivery has some very stringent rules in it about how that takes place from the beginning, from the moment it leaves the facility to where it winds up on someone's doorstep. And it's very specific. You can't just, call and say, oh yeah, my parents made me do this, or there's very deliberate things that are put into place to make sure that it goes to the end user only. I'm positive they have to show an ID. I'm positive that ID has got to somehow be recorded in some way, shape, or form visually. I may be stepping out of line here. I'd even heard that they use cameras as well too to record the transaction. But I might be talking a little bit out of turn since I've looked at that. But a lot of those things that are floating out there and the guidelines and processes behind it can be found on the Cannabis Control website. And like I said, I'd certainly encourage you look there and see what's involved in each one of these processes. The thing is too that this would have to be a warrant article for the town. So the real question of do we need another facility of some type really will rest in the public venue when we put this out here. That'll be the great moment of how comfortable people are with it. I do remember the initial marijuana article passing, not unanimously, but I think it was with a pretty high consensus to it when it was put in place. So that unto itself was very telltale. Anyways, so those are kind of the predominant things I see emerging out of this discussion that we've had so far. So let me stop here. Melissa, you've had your hand raised. Thank you for giving me a minute, and I'll turn things over to you. One more time, you're muted, dear.
Yeah, sorry, I was doing the thing where I'm talking to other people at the
Oh,
same
you're
time.
sorry.
But I do have my hand.
apologize.
That's okay. I do have my hand raised. And I just wanted to add a little bit more thought to the delivery operator and ask, I think, a question in that, marijuana is used medically by a great number of people in our community. And would it be a first step to restrict some of these expansions, like a delivery operator, for example, to people who have a medical marijuana card? And that is, to receive a medical marijuana card, you have to register with the state, you have to, you get an actual separate license. And so that may be a first step and may be really helpful to the people in the community who do rely on medical marijuana and can't access it in their home, from their homes. So that's just one thought to add to the pot of thoughts. No pun intended. Well, maybe it was. Feeling a little silly today. I think that some of the reservations I have, just to also add some further thoughts to the conversation, is micro businesses and craft cooperatives really, will rely on more than the branding of a specific product. I think the branding of Nantucket. And just, I want to be really conscientious in what expansion we do in that area, that we're celebrating for example, for craft cooperative, that there's something nuanced and special about a craft grown marijuana as opposed to something grown at one of the retail businesses. And if I'm not understanding what a craft co-op is, please take the time to correct me. But you know, I think that there's a delicate balance between honoring somebody who's, you know, choosing to cultivate on a small batch level as opposed to a sort of branded, highly marketable Nantucket marijuana, which, you know, I think that with people who maybe indulge in those thoughts get that from Act Natural and Green Lady, right? So I just, that's something I want to be sensitive to. And again, looking at these different alternatives, I'm most interested in exploring the options of delivery operator with the restrictions. I will look at the Cannabis Control Commission and also consider if there's additional restrictions that might be better suited in our community. And less interested right now in social consumption and adding additional operator licenses. To me, we don't, to Dorothy's point, we don't have the facts that they're necessary or that the community can support them with the demand. And although I'd be happy to hear from other community members about what need there is. And Jacques, thank you so much for sharing the information from people that you know, because, you know, we all know different groups and segments of people, and your contribution to the conversation helped me understand the importance of delivery for some folks in our community.
Thanks. Anyone else want to chime in at this juncture?
I agree with Dorothy. I think that until we know, like, and Melissa, like, until we know how busy the two businesses are when they're both open for, I don't know, a year at once or whatever, like, until you have those sorts of numbers, how do you know if we even need more shops?
Can I reframe that question a little bit, Meredith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, so I have a better feeling. Are you just, you're talking from a retail establishment about being able to sell, but with something, what's your thought on something like either delivery service or I'm just going to go back to social consumption, because that's kind of a little bit off base from some of the other stuff that would be closer to a retail type thing.
The delivery, I still have a lot of concerns because I just think there's a lot of opportunity for it to get in the wrong hands. And just, as you can hear, my baby's in the background. I think I just would be concerned about it getting in the wrong hands. So that is. And did you say like using it in food and stuff? Was that the other question?
I just brought it up because the only reason I brought up the social consumption is that it's just like the delivery. It's somewhat divergent from a retail type establishment thing where it's being sold.
I just think I think we have to be aware, like, we don't want families walking down the street in the summer and having it be like cigarettes. You don't see a lot of people smoking now. And I just, from my days in Seattle, like, I really didn't go downtown because I didn't want, because I had a little kid and I didn't feel like it was appropriate for him to be walking through these plumes of smoke. And it would be the same if it was cigarettes. I just felt like, you know, that we have to be aware of our surroundings. So,
No, thank you. Yeah, and I hear you loud and clear. Just as a side note, many years ago, I was one of the key architects about banning smoking, especially like in establishments, and worked with the industry to bring a bylaw forward that really kind of changed the landscape of things. So I hear you there with that. All right. Anyone else want to chat? All right,
Barry?
so go ahead.
Yeah, Barry, on the delivery, my concern is we have liquor delivery, correct? And I can tell you from experience from where I work that liquor delivery was being delivered to minors throughout the whole summer.
Mhm.
And so how you can regulate these kind of deliveries will be key. And I agree with Meredith. And Melissa, I think there's things we have to look at
Mhm.
in this process, because you're opening up a can of worms. And I respect what Jacques has to say about the medical community, and maybe it's only medical delivery. But I think we have to watch. Even the best of regulations and the best of things get abused, and we all know it. And I don't think that we as a community right now can afford to contribute to much more abuse within substances, whether or not they're legal or not.
Mhm.
And so I think we have to really put some real thought and some, it's not just discussion. I think there's a lot of research we have to do before this can even become, a more viable discussion. I think everybody has to do a lot more research within, bylaw, how it's worked, what restrictions can be done on it, before we're talking about opening up that kind of license.
Mhm.
So that's all I had to say on it.
All right, thank you. That's interesting about the alcohol thing. I didn't realize that was such a widespread problem with delivery. It doesn't surprise me though. Um, and just as a side note, the first thing I would say, maybe once you look through what the Cannabis Control Commission does and the stringency of trying to prevent diversion from happening with their operators, might be something that could be adopted into the alcohol delivery system that we do here at this point, where certain guidelines could be put in if you're going to be a delivery person. Because Melissa, you don't have to register right now, do you, as an alcohol delivery?
To be honest, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would imagine that and I would have to get clear with Amy Baxter in licensing, but that it's part of your package store license. And I'm sure there are penalties for violation of delivering to minors if complaints are filed and tracked and so on and so forth, that one would be at risk for losing their license. But that's a great question, and maybe one that Barry, you and I could follow up with Amy on to see, what that's like. But
Yeah.
I don't believe it requires a separate license, certainly not one issued by the select board to offer
Interesting.
delivery.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of I'm sorry, I don't want to divert too far off of this, because we're really on a separate subject, and I apologize. This is just for my own edification at the moment. But yeah, boy, does that sound like something that maybe should be looked at with a little bit more depth at some stage, if there's that level of problem. Sorry about that. Anything else on the topic at the moment? All right, let me kind of close that out and say we're going to circle back in on this next month. as I said to you, this was just meant to stimulate some dialogue today, throw it out and just get some basic thought about what you're thinking. And certainly, as my rule has always been, that when you start something of this nature or this gravity, the best thing to do is step away from it for a good 24, 48 hours and then start saying, let me go back through it again, because there'll be a lot of things that will start coming up. So we will definitely have this back on the agenda for next month. But as I said to you, do take a little bit of an opportunity to get, if you haven't, get onto the Cannabis Control Commission site and see what's going on. Let me just ask you a question for Melissa and Meredith. Did you both sign up for that Boston Globe blog that comes out every week called Week in Weed?
I did.
You did?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I
All right.
forgot about it.
No, that's okay. How could you have forgotten? Don't worry. We all got a lot on our
Wait,
hands.
here's another one. I'm in the weeds.
Yeah, but I will send you that link because it's real. I think they do a really good job about, and it comes out once a week on a Saturday. It's probably no more than about a 15-minute read. Each little sub article you can get through in about 2 minutes, and not everything is going to be like, oh, I need to spend time on it. But one of the things I like about it is I think that the editor and the people running it do a really good job about encapsulating what's going on across the state, as well as what's going on with the Control Commission as well too. So it's like just quick and dirty snapshot of things to kind of see what the trajectories are of what's going on. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, we'll send it off to the junk box afterwards. But it's worth a look at. So I will make sure I send you that link. Okay. There's really not too much else I have. I mean, our next meeting is going to be scheduled to January 20th, but it's been a while since we've been together as a group. So let me I got to be careful, but I want to see if there's other things that we maybe want to be looking at, or that's just floating out there that we need to be cognizant of. So let me just kind of run down through the list here. Dorothy, do you have, and I hate to put you on the spot, and an appropriate answer is got nothing for you. So Dorothy, anything else floating out there?
The only thing I could give an update on the marijuana grants. We're not giving them. No, I was kidding. We had 3 submissions into the grant process. One is Fair Winds. The other is NAMI with a collaborative with Gosnold, which is the program that is getting it right now. And the other is the program that Meredith is working on with her dad. And so we will be looking at them. They are going to be invited to come in and sit down with us on the 24th of January. We just decided that today. So Meredith, somebody got a notice. But it's we're looking at, it's $100,000, the grant. As of today, it's $100,000. That number could change, but not drastically.
And I work for Addiction Solutions, but I didn't have any, I just told them about it. It's mostly my dad and Aileen Womack.
Okay.
They're the ones, they have a board and they're the ones that sort of run everything. I take my notes from them.
Okay. So just so everybody knows, those are our three programs that are out. The program that the town did fund through the marijuana grant will be starting. They're opening their doors for January 3rd with a collaboration with NAMI in the Gosnold building. And NAMI will be in the office 7 days, no, not 7 days a week. Sorry, I think it's 6 days a week. The office will be open. And they have a clinician that they have hired that will be working exclusively on Nantucket. So that took a while for them, from what we understand, due to, of course, housing. So that's my update from there.
Thanks, Dorothy. And just since this is being recorded, if anyone goes back to it, please tell me what committee that is that you're referring to.
The Contract Review Committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Just in case anyone watches this in the future, they'll know what the reference point was for those going out. Meredith, anything else?
I just had a quick question for Dorothy. So they're going to have a clinician in person 6 days a week or 5 days a week?
Sorry. Yeah, they're going to be offering a program. From what I understand, there's a clinician that'll be available 5 days a week. They're going to be here. The office is going to be open 6 days a week and offering programs with NAMI, because NAMI is basically manning the office in the collaboration with NAMI. I mean, with Gosnold. Sorry.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. It is great. It's really great. We need it. It's the one
Yeah.
place we really need it. So it's exciting. And, I'll be honest, it's been I advocated with the town for Gosnold. They pulled out for a while. It was very disappointing. Before NAMI went back into this agreement, I had a long discussion with NAMI about the impact Gosnold had by not providing the services as they had said they would. And how we were sort of taking a little step back as to how we felt about this collaboration. And it became guaranteed to us from NAMI and through Gosnold that they were going to be here. They were committed to it, and the office would be opening and the program running. And I think it's going to be amazing. It's really amazing. And so, as we all know, anything is better than nothing right now. So they'll be primarily working with addicts that returning. Or I should say not addicts. Let's go back. Substance abuse.
We're coming back to the island.
Yes. A lot of the program will be working with patients that are coming back or patients that are doing it from here.
That's great.
Trying to do it from here. Yeah, I think it's fabulous.
Yeah.
So, and I will have an update for next month on where we stand.
Great. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just had a brief moment. I had to attend to something. Melissa, anything else you got floating out there?
No,
No. Okay. Like I said,
not
that
even
was a
any
good
more
answer.
funny jokes.
Okay, please.
I'll be back next month.
Humor's always welcome. Jacques, anything else that is going on out there we should be aware of?
Nothing I can think of. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right.
Gary, I just want to take a quick second to say thank you
Please.
to Dorothy for overseeing those grants and putting the money to good use. So thank you.
No, I agree. Thank you, Dorothy. That is really a wonderful thing.
And Melissa, I'm grateful that the town has allocated the funds this way. So, thanks to everybody in the town.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
It's definitely a team effort. Always has been.
Okay, hearing nothing else. So you have a little bit of homework to do between now and our next meeting in January. Give it some thought. If you're stuck on something or you're not sure at this point, we could certainly do email just to see where we're at and be a little cognizant of what the content is in there. But at least that way we can handle some basic things if they come up. So please don't be afraid to shoot out. It's like, I'm stuck on this issue. I don't get it. And maybe we can help bring some clarity to it, or at least figure out where we need to turn to for that clarity. Okay. Well, everyone, let me tell you personally, I am excited that you're all here today. Thank you. It's been a little bit of a struggle just getting this basic core group of individuals together at it. We're busy at times, but I'm delighted that you're all here, and I really appreciate the time and energy that you take out of your own personal life to be a part of this. Thank you so much. Hearing nothing else,
Do you like a motion to adjourn?
you are reading me right away, but I am going to say one thing. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you, and enjoy your time. So yes, I would gladly accept that motion.
Thank you, and so moved.
Do I hear it?
Second.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take good care, and we'll see you in about a month's worth of time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, all.